Hey team, today's topic is how to run a sub 12-minute 2 mile. Okay, and I was recently asked by one of my subscribers, left a message on one of my videos who said, hey, can you make a video about how to break a 12-minute 2 mile? Okay, now in most cases in high school, the 2 mile is actually 3,200 meters, which is actually 18 meters shy of a 2 mile race. But that being said, it's very, very close. In order to break the 12-minute 2 mile barrier, you need to hold 343 kilometer pace for those 3.2 kilometers, or running 559 mile pace for 2 consecutive miles. And again, one of the biggest hindrances for a lot of athletes, and I know this because I did the same thing, when you're running a 3,200 meter, you have to be extremely confident in yourself and your training in terms of your aerobic base building phase, and especially in your leg speed and really doing your homework and training. But you also want to be very aware of how fast you go out and the amount of energy expenditure that you put out, especially in those first 2 laps of a 3,200 meter race. A lot of athletes go out way too fast in the first half of that race. So if you're trying to break a 12-minute 3,200 meter event, or if you're trying to break a 12-minute 3,200 meter time, or a 12-minute 2 mile time if you're running 3,218 meters, but if you're trying to run that particular time, my advice is to try to go out that first 1,600 meter at around 6:06 to 6:07. Be a little bit conservative in that first 4 laps, and then really do the very best you can to pour it on in that second 4 laps of the race. I always talk about the importance of trying to be as relaxed as you can when you're running at faster speeds, and this takes time. It's an art form. All of you can run easy for an extended period of time, probably several hours, but it's another thing to run fast. It's an art form to run fast, and to be able to run fast, and in this case, sub 6-minute mile pace, or 343 kilometer pace, is high quality running. It's not jogging pace. So my advice is for athletes, especially many of you that are trying to do this in high school, or maybe you're trying to break 2 miles in college, break the 12-minute barrier in college, or you're trying to break a 12-minute 2 mile on the roads, and you're just trying to improve your fitness, is to really, because this race is such a highly anaerobic event, you do really want to pay more attention to quality versus quantity. Okay, you can be running a high amount of mileage, 50, 60 miles a week or more, and never break the 12-minute barrier. Of course, every athlete's different. Some athletes can do that just on base building and just running consistent mileage. But the faster we run, the more emphasis needs to be placed on how effective are we at clearing lactic acid. And when we run at faster speeds, we build up far more lactic acid buildup, so it's obviously much more difficult on the body. It requires much more oxygen, and there's more inflammation that's built up after we're done doing faster workouts versus if we're running at slow speeds and there's very minimal amounts of lactic acid buildup. Again, we can run slow for long periods of time because we can clear it faster than it's building up. But when you're training for a sub 12-minute 2 mile or a 3,200 meter race, focus on doing faster, shorter repetitions. Okay, that might mean when I was in high school trying to break running the 3,200 meter, I did between 3 and 4 1 mile or 1,600 meter reps, not 1,609 meters, but I would do between 3 and 4 1,600 meter reps on the track at 10 to 15 seconds faster than my goal race pace. I would also, in your case, if you're trying to break a 12-minute 2 mile or 12-minute 3,200 meter event, then I would focus first on getting to a point where you can do those 800s at around 3 flat to 302 per rep. And again, you want to give yourself more rest in the early stages of your buildup. You're not going to be able to go out there and repeat 800s on the track at like 252 to 254 in the early stages. Okay, it might be difficult to even be doing repeat 800s at 6-minute mile pace, okay, or 343 kilometer pace at the very beginning. So my advice is to be patient with yourself. You could break a 12-minute 3,200 meter time or a 12-minute 2 mile time if you're running for a full 2 miles, running anywhere from 30 to 35 miles a week. Okay, it's not about the amount of volume you're putting in. It's really going to be about the quality of the work you're doing. Okay, repeat 400s is another key workout. I always did trying to run faster over 3,200 meters. When I was in high school, I ran 9:46. My personal best for the full 2-mile event is 9:27. Obviously, some of us are much more better suited for shorter races like the 2-mile, or in my case, the marathon. Okay, I was much better at the marathon than I was at the 2-mile event. So if you're doing repeat 400s, first start off aiming to run those reps at around 128 to 129, just under goal race pace. And that might mean anywhere from 8 to 12 repetitions of 400-meter reps, giving yourself about 2 minutes of a recovery, and then working your way down to where you can do those repetitions between 120 to 123 with maybe 45 seconds to 60 seconds rest in between each one of those reps, and doing the same amount of volume as you did at the very beginning. So again, when we're in piss poor shape and we have a very hard time just going out and staying consistent with our mileage, you want to be very patient with yourself, okay? It takes time. It takes anywhere from 3 weeks to a month to adapt to any stress load you're placing on the body. So if right now your current pace for doing tempo runs for your 2-mile, maybe you're doing, say, my advice is to work between up to around 4 miles for your tempo run, okay? You're doing a 2-mile, you're focusing on a sub 12-minute 2-mile time, so you don't need to be going out doing 16-kilometer or 10-mile tempo runs like, say, a half marathoner or a marathoner needs to do, okay? Your focus is to do shorter intervals, shorter tempo runs, but still building that volume and still being consistent with your weekly buildup. But you really want to focus on your leg turnover and really work on your speed, okay? You don't really need to be doing 3 2-mile repetitions on the track or 3 3,200-meter reps training for a 2-mile, okay? The difference is you're training for a much faster, much more aggressive anaerobic event in the 2-mile or 3,200-meter. But to break 12 minutes, you need to focus more on quality over quantity, okay? Like I said in other videos, and this goes for athletes that are training for the 5K, 10K, half marathon, 10-miler, 25K. You want to definitely continue to focus on doing hills or running over hillier terrain at least every other week, okay? Get beyond just running on flat terrain. You want to get outside of your comfort zone. You want to train on rolling terrain so that, again, you better equip yourself to run at a faster pace for a longer period of time. Right now, 5:59 mile pace or 3:43 kilometer pace might feel like an all-out sprint to you. And again, this is a 2-mile time. A sub 12-minute 2-mile time is very fast. It's very competitive. So you're going to have to be patient with yourself and know that it's going to take preferably 3 months to 4 months to get this right. Okay, so I have built training plans here on RunDreamAchieve.com for athletes that are trying to break the sub 12-minute 2-mile barrier. I've also created a course specifically for athletes that are in the military training for the 2-mile event. But that particular 2-mile bootcamp course that I created is not just specifically for military members, okay? It's built for civilians as well that are trying to run faster over their 2-mile event. So that may definitely be a course that you want to check out. So I'll leave, definitely check below this video as well as on RunDreamAchieve.com. Just click on Courses tab at the very top of the website. It'll give you a little more of an overview of what I talk about in that course. It's basically everything from A to Z on how to run faster over the 2-mile distance. And I also have a 16-week training plan at the end of that course for athletes that are trying to break any standard, anywhere from like 25 minutes for the 2-mile all the way down to sub 10 minutes for the 2-mile event. So I hope this is helpful in terms of thinking of some of the things you need to really focus on as you're training for that sub 12-minute 2-mile. Okay, don't get hyped up in the first half, in the first 4 laps of the race. Run your race. Okay, do the best you can to run in lane 1. Okay, instead of lane 2 or 3, run is the least amount of distance as you can in the race. Stay as confident and as relaxed as you can, even when you're running at faster paces in training. Teach the body and teach yourself to be more confident and more relaxed as you're running at faster paces. Again, it's going to be much more difficult to do that versus running at easier paces. but the athlete that is the most relaxed, best prepared, best tapered is going to get the best results. So I hope this is helpful for you all. Feel free to leave me a comment below if you have any other questions regarding the 2 mile, or if there's something I didn't cover in this video, or any other videos you'd like me to touch on in the future, and I will definitely respond back to you all. So I wish you all the best, and I'll talk to you all in the next one.